Good morning. I know what you're thinking. Two guests in a row? That's right. But no, we don't start until we listen in the music. I'll see you in a second. Welcome to the Success Secrets for Business, Family, and Life channel. I'm Kim Helm. This is a good show. I'm hearing a bit of an echo. This coffee break show. We go live every day. And I know last week we had a guest, and this week we had a guest, and I'll tell you why. Dr. Tantiana Zalan is so incredible at being a futurist and talking about Web 3.0 and how it's going to affect you, what is going to be beneficial for you, what you need to look out for, that I immediately called her and said, I know you live in Dubai and it's going to be very late, but would you be on the coffee break show with me? And she said, yes, welcome to this show. I'm so glad you've joined us today.
Thank you, Vicky, for inviting me. I'm very excited as well. And it's not that late. It's only 9 o'clock here in Dubai. We don't have natural light right now, so I'm using other lights.
Yeah, that's good. I'm still happy you're here. I have morning light over here in the United States. Listen, I see you guys coming on. Do me a favor, put your name down below. Be part of the conversation. If you're on iHeartRadio, if you're on Pandora, if you're on Roku TV, if you're on Apple, wherever you are, welcome to the show today. It's very exciting to be talking about this kind of future. And the first thing I just want to get out of the way when we start talking about this is I'm going to dive right in. I know you guys are going to ask questions. I know you're going to have statements. Welcome. Go ahead and write your statements. Do your thing. Be here with us. And you can ask what you need to ask. But the first thing I want to ask is, how did you suddenly get into the future of Web 3.0? How did you, what sparked you? What is the thing that created this passion you have for this? And can you also tell us a little bit of your professional background as well?
Well, let's start with a professional background. I'm a professor of business at the American University in Dubai right now. I've been in Dubai for 6 years, almost 6 years. We came here because I just got a job and we decided to explore the world and until we still can, together with my husband. And before that, I was an academic in Australia. I worked for a number of universities, was full-time faculty there, starting with the University of Melbourne, then University of South Australia. And my last job there, a university academic job, was with Torrens University, which was a startup university. And I was in charge of the MBA program there, as well as the division of business at some point. So that's my academic background, very short in a nutshell, but I haven't been an academic for all my life. I've done other things as well in industry, in the banking industry, in trading as well. I mean the export-import trading, that kind of trading. So I have quite a bit of a background, 30 plus years of work experience altogether. So that's kind of very quickly about my background. And as far as how I got into blockchain and cryptocurrencies, it's actually through my academic research, which is strange enough because that's typically not how people get into cryptocurrencies.
That's true.
They typically get into crypto because because of the spike in price, and everybody starts talking about it, and then all of a sudden there is this huge interest, and then they start digging into the technology itself, and they get hooked. With me, it was a little bit different. I did an academic research in 2016, and we were interviewing quite a few executives, and they mentioned Bitcoin quite a few times because we were doing research on fintech, financial technologies, and the impact on the banking industry, and whether it's going to be disruptive or not for the banking sector. So that was the question that we were trying to explore. And then executives started to mention Bitcoin and blockchain and Bitcoin. Well, I was familiar with Bitcoin, digital currency. Okay, I wasn't particularly interested in it. And then I went to a big conference on blockchain in Abu Dhabi, and there I saw quite a few people that were really seriously interested in it. They were talking about things that at that moment I didn't understand. I thought, well, I'm writing about that, so I'd better understand what it all means. So I started, of course, reading papers, Satoshi Nakamoto's white paper. I'm one of the few people, I think, that actually read the paper, not once, but several times. Ethereum white paper and so on and so forth. And then, of course, lots of papers that are related to Bitcoin and cryptocurrencies more generally, academic papers as well as industry papers. What else? Of course, that's quite important as well. In about 2017, we started here in Dubai. Me and a couple of other people started a kind of a meetup type of a series rather, which was called Planet Blockchain, and there we invited quite a few founders of cryptocurrency projects to come and sort of talk about their projects, sometimes even pitch their projects to the audience. And that was where we learned a lot about cryptocurrencies as well. So that was a period when there was a lot of interest in crypto because of the so-called ICOs, which you may have heard of.
I have.
ICOs, stands for initial coin offerings.
That's right. Thank you.
That's how I got there.
This is so interesting because in the industry right now, the reason I'm so excited about having you on, and I just want to say hello to our audience. Good morning, my friend. How are you? I knew you'd get up to watch us. And Lori, so glad you've joined us this morning. Thank you for being here. Listen, I've got her on, and I definitely want to continue the conversation because I think this is important. Right now, I'm going to be bold in saying that the crypto space has been dominated by male interest. And right now, what I'm enjoying about this is women are starting to wake up to the power of the crypto thing. But I want to go a little bit deeper because blockchain and cryptocurrencies are a part of the future. They're not the total future. And we're looking at Web 3.0, which is yes, a healthy curiosity led to research. Yes, so we have a researcher on who's done this as well. So when we get to the point where we have women who are stepping in and understanding the Web 3.0, let's go back in time and talk to the person who was there at Web 1.0 and kind of catch them up. And name like 3 things that are exciting about Web 3.0 when you get there. And start us off with Web 1.0. What's the difference between 1.0 and 3.0?
Well, as you can see, probably it's very easy to see that Web 1.0, 2.0, and 3.0 are just ways of saying, well, this is the evolution of the web, right? We started with Web 1.0 probably in the 1980s until early 2000s. That was the first period where everything was open, decentralized, distributed. It was pretty much open network, peer-to-peer, and everybody could write applications on top of this network. And that was a great advantage of Web 1.0. The disadvantage of Web 1.0 was that because it was open source, it was very difficult to monetize, and therefore this is the period where also saw the emergence of all these big giants that we now see in our world, like the GAFAs, as we call them, the Googles and Apples and Facebooks,
the FANG companies.
Yeah, the big tech companies, right? So that was the first period. The second period started probably maybe beginning of 2000s until, some people would say it's until now, but I would argue that we're starting to see the seeds of Web 3.0 as well. Web 2.0 was very, very different from Web 1.0 in that it's obviously very centralized. It's the capabilities of the web has expanded. In the first generation of the web, it was only you can read all these static pages on the web, but you couldn't interact with it. We didn't have any social networks, for example, back then. With Web 2.0, we had this possibility of, as users, to interact with the content, and this is what we did. This is how all the big social networks appeared, and other platforms, of course, like Yahoo, for example, at that particular point in time. And so it was a great period of innovation, because we saw all these huge companies being formed, and they contributed and did a lot of good for society, we should say, where they've given lots of amazing services, amazing technologies, and very often for free. Think about Google. We don't pay anything. We don't pay anything for Google or for using Google. Well, we do pay with our data, but not immediately.
Not in the beginning.
Money.
In the beginning, we didn't.
And that was pretty much this Web 2.0 is pretty much advertising based. That's the model, attention based model as well. And there were good things about Web 2.0, but the bad things is, while it started as a very innovative moment and developed huge capabilities that were not seen by Web 1.0, it was very clear that all these big giants became monopolies. They became winners take all, as they call them sometimes in strategy. They are dominating, and they started, instead of cooperating with users like us, like developers, third-party developers in particular, they started to extract value from them. They became very exploitative because of the advertising model that they adopted. They started selling our data, which is very obvious what they're doing. And also they stifled innovation from smaller companies, smaller businesses.
And that's the point.
It became really hard to start a small business. Because there was always this platform risk. They can rug pull you, that they can ban you, they can deplatform you, and they
demonetize you, just like that.
We've just seen, I was pretty much shocked to see two evolutionary biologists talking. They have their YouTube channel and a podcast. They're very well known. Brett Weinstein is one of these biologists, and his wife Heather Hain was, I don't quite remember her name. They were deplatformed by YouTube, so they lost their income because they dared to talk about an alternative treatment for COVID.
That's right. Starts with an I.
They're not people from the street who don't know who they're talking about. They're very legitimate scientists with PhDs.
They did that. They threatened even Joe Rogan, who has the #1 podcast with these two scientists in that conversation. That censorship is happening a lot right now. And it's like we went from this 1.0, which is Google's don't be evil era, to now 2.0. Started out great. We're going into this greed position now where there's a lot of control and everything else, and it isn't healthy. So continue. What happens with us? Brett's wife name is Heather. Thank you very much, Amber. Heather, thank you. Sad reality, suppressing freedom of opinion. That's what's happening right now. And
and it's not just opinion, it's really based on facts. It's not pulling it out of his head. Exactly. So if Web 2.0 is don't be evil, Web 3.0, I think it's more about you can't be evil, because A lot of
you can't
rules
be evil.
are actually written into the code. So
Yes.
with the blockchain, all that you can think about blockchain as computer that makes commitments. It's a very neat way of putting that. And these commitments are made through the code, and the code will not be changed unless the users somehow agree that that needs to happen, that needs to change. And so Web 3.0 is pretty much the characteristics of a Web 1.0. Open, decentralized, distributed. Everybody can write applications on top of that, no problem. This is what's happening in DeFi. This is what's happening on Bitcoin to a less extent, but certainly on Ethereum, we see a lot of that happening. And we have our own native currency, native means of value exchange with the help of blockchain.
I think that's the
big difference with Web 3.0.
This is so important what you just said, because corruption is, Goliath, and the blockchain is David, and it is going to definitely unearth and destroy corruption in a way that we've never seen before. And there's opportunity as well. There's an opportunity in the future with Web 3.0. And I want to talk about those because a lot of people are so afraid of the future because they don't understand it. Hey, Peter, nice to see you on this morning. Good morning. We are with Dr. Tantiana Zalan. She's a professor and a futurist, and we are talking about Web 3.0, how it's going to benefit you and how it is going to affect the future of everything you do, what blockchain is. She has been researching this for several years now, and we're going to continue the conversation because I think Web 3.0 offers opportunities, especially right now, because it's in its infancy. Yes?
Yes, absolutely. In its infancy still. Yeah, it's very, very young. We're just starting out, and some of the things, yes, Bitcoin, if we go back a little bit, there was several waves of innovation in Bitcoin. Bitcoin was first, of course. Then we saw Ethereum came in. Ethereum can do more things that Bitcoin did. We have smart contracts, and we can write these contracts about just about anything. And now there is a new wave of NFTs, and in particular.
Yes, that's an exciting place. The NFTs, very exciting.
Very exciting. My next show, which is on this Friday, will be about creators and NFTs. So how
I'm going to be on that one.
From NFTs.
Let me just interrupt here for a second. I just want to let you know that she is the host of the show, The Fringe, and I want to talk about that. I watch every episode, even if you hashtag replay. Somebody put the Fringe show in the link. Robin, if you're there, put the Fringe show in the link for me, so that I think anybody should be listening to this show as a natural part of keeping up to date as to what the future is going to hold. This is something that's so important. Now, listen, if you're driving right now and you're listening to the live podcast or you're listening to the live show, relax. You can just go back to the show notes right here. The link will be in there. You don't need to try to grab your phone while you're driving. Don't do that. Just relax, and we'll put the link for the show inside the show notes. You can go right under the thread and do that. And at this point, I want to talk about some of the benefits, some of the things that are going to be exciting, some of the things that you see coming. I want to also talk about cryptocurrencies as well, because as you guys know, I have been preaching this on this show. We're doing 500 shows, and several of those shows have been this topic and this, this particular thing. So, Dr. Zalan, I just want to be able to ask you, what is it about the future that 3.0? What are some of the opportunities people can expect or see in that? Yes, Peter, it is very exciting.
Well, Apart from the obvious opportunities, you can trade cryptocurrencies, you can invest in cryptocurrencies. Of course, you need to be careful about how you invest, because it's very volatile, it's very uncertain, which is a characteristic of innovation. It's not, volatility will go down when there is more adoption, but at the moment, I'm not too sure. I don't trust these figures, but I've seen the figures that only 1% of the population all over the world is engaged in cryptocurrencies, either to trading.
Yes, I've wondered that too, and I'm like, really, is it that small? Really,
Well, I don't know. In some countries, the adoption rates, of course, are much, much higher. We see a lot of countries now starting to at least think about adopting Bitcoin as legal tender.
Yes,
Japan started that a few years back. It's already legal tender there. El Salvador said just
a few days ago.
2 weeks ago. They said that it's going to be legal tender because the current financial system hasn't worked for us. So, what have we got to lose? Let's experiment. Yeah.
Let's stop there. The current financial system. I also want to tell you, there are legal cryptocurrency banks now, a couple that have come up in Wyoming, etc. But our current system is based on the devaluation of money. So no matter what you do, even though you're investing, as long as the money is devaluing, you're not making any money. You're just losing money over time. There is a notion, a conversation happening right now that cryptocurrency is the best asset we have ever had in history, even over gold. And I'm wondering, could you explain to them why people are talking that way? What is it that creates, this kind of value versus what we call fiat currency over digital currencies?
Well, if you remember, coming back to this definition, very simple definition of blockchain, it's a computer that makes commitments. And with Bitcoin, the commitments are very, very simple. The rules of the game are spelled out in the code. It will ever going to be 21 million Bitcoins. And so there is this notion of scarcity. And for anything to be of value, in particular for money, you need to have scarcity. And this is what Bitcoin has. Ethereum is going down that way as well, because it's going to be deflationary after they transition to a new protocol, to a new consensus at the end of this year, hopefully. So it's really scarcity that's driving value plus adoption. And adoption is very closely related to the so-called network effects. Network effects are just related to the social consensus. If we decide, a group of people decide that we adopt it as money, then
that's right. Over time, it'll happen. Yeah. So the way I value some of the cryptos for me, and I'm not sure I'm doing this right. I mean, cryptos are so new, etc. But the key thing is adoption. I love that. And what I mean by that is, how is that blockchain used in society? The crypto has a blockchain, and how it is infused into society how it's used is its value. In other words, instead of somebody holding up a piece of gold and saying this gold is valuable, but only for, teeth fillings and that's why gold is valuable. And then now gold is, well, it's in your rings, it's in the value of it goes up based on its use, etc. So for instance, we look at smart contracts. Those are going to be, that's on the Ethereum network, those smart contracts, the ability to create the contract without having all the lawyers and the fees and the interacting between, there's a whole system of that is going to be infused. So the way I look at it is I say, the adoption of smart contracts is going to create the value behind the Ethereum blockchain, behind the Ethereum coin. Therefore, I know for me, the Ethereum is going to go up. It's going to be infused in adoption. People are afraid of blockchain. By the way, I just want to pop down here. Here's the link to Dr. Zalan's show, Facebook, The Fringe Media, right there. You guys want to be on that show all the time and relax if you're driving. We're going to put this on the show notes and everything else so that you can just go ahead and subscribe. Do you have a YouTube channel as well?
Yes, I do. Yeah.
Great. Robin, would you find the YouTube channel and put it up there? You want to subscribe to this show right now, because here's the thing. The mainstream media isn't going to share as deeply as Dr. Zalan is. And right now, if you want to know the truth, you have to go to the people who actually research it, look at it, and really go through it. Before the show, she was talking about reading the white paper. And she's read the white paper more than once on Bitcoin, correct? Was that correct? She read it more than once. I read it once, and I didn't even read the whole thing. I literally read halfway and then started perusing the pieces that I wanted. So if you want to hear from the actual people that are doing this, now I want to talk to the women of this change, is women who are involved in Web 3.0. I know that it appears as though we're a small group of women who are talking about these futures and the careers and everything else, but I believe there is going to be a wave of women coming into this Web 0.0, this fringe, if you will, and making it there, because it helps protect and create freedom. And I'm going to leave this link up here a little bit longer before we go. And I want to talk about what is it that Web 3.0 is going to do. This is a big discussion. What is it going to do for women, for business in the future? And what opportunities are there going to be in new income structures and things like that?
Okay. Yeah. So I think what you're referring to, what kind of the new business models we're going to see, and what we're going to see is going to be quite revolutionary. And it's not just because of blockchain. Artificial intelligence, I think, will play a big role. Virtual reality will play a big role. Internet of Things will probably be there as well. But with blockchain in particular, what we see now, and we see probably the biggest shift in business models, because so far it's all, look at all these big tech giants, it's advertising based, it's our attention based, it's selling our data, it's no privacy, it's a lot of censorship. Plus, you can be deplatformed. They can change the rules of the game overnight, and they have no consequences. I think what we will have with Web 3.0 are completely different opportunities for people who are entrepreneurs. They can safely build on the blockchain, and they know that the rules of the game will not be changed. And also for users or creators, as I call them, because my particular interest is in what I call creator economy, passion economy, sometimes it's called, or ownership economy. And what we will see with Web 3.0 is, as I said, a completely different business model. So far, I explained it in the last, in one of my shows, but let me just maybe spell it out again, because in the past, what we have as creators, like Vicky and myself, as Larissa and Robin, we can go to all these big platforms like YouTube, like StreamYard, like Facebook, and offer our services to the public, to our audience through these platforms. So we can derive income, and this is probably it. We can never own part of this platform. With Web 3.0, what we will see is that apart from income streams, we can also have ownership. And that's, I think, is a very, very important switch. Not just income, but also wealth, equity, having a stake in the business, because this is what tokens do. This is why cryptocurrency itself is so important. Yes, blockchain is, after all, it's a database, it's a decentralized distributed database. But the whole point of having this token, it gives you, it gives you on some blockchains access to services, but it also gives you access to or an opportunity to be an owner or to be a user or to be a validator on this platform, right? It's not just about services, but a little bit more than that. Or you can have voting rights because of the token. Some tokens are so-called governance tokens, and they give you voting rights. And so we will see these interesting new models emerging. And I mentioned one of the most interesting ones is so-called social tokens. And social tokens is just really tokenizing your social capital. As a creator, you can, for example, issue your own token to your fans. If you're an influencer, you can easily do that. You can build a community and offer a community token, or you can, what else you can do? Or if you're a legacy brand, a brand that exists already, you can also tokenize some of the social capital and of your audience that you've already developed. So this is kind of the change, the big change that we see. It's no longer attention-based. It's no longer based on advertising. We really have this opportunity to have the right alignment of incentives of all the users, and this is what will bring up the value of the token, the value of the cryptocurrency on the blockchain. I'm referring, of course, to a very broad range of projects that we see coming up in different aspects on some using NFTs, so-called non-fungible tokens. Others are using just common, normal fungible tokens. So this is what's so exciting.
It is. It's so exciting because we're at the literal where fringe becomes infancy. That's where we are with this. And with the internet, the possibilities at the beginning of the internet, we're like at the, look at the email stage. This is going to literally change opportunity in the way we create money. I just want to check in. This is incredibly informative. Thank you. I don't know who you are. I'm glad you're here. I understand why you, Vicky, want me to connect with Tantiana. I'll send you a message, Tantiana. This is very good. I want to talk to you right now. Listen, this is Dr. Zalan's YouTube channel right here. It's in the link. It's in the show notes. When you get home, your hashtag replay, just go there and click on that link. Subscribe to this channel. You want to be up to date. I will tell you that listening to The Fringe will give you an edge. Listening to The Fringe Show will give you opportunities right now to see things that you may not have noticed or learn things that are so important about your future. Why? Because what's happening right now can be changing your legacy forever. So I want to leave this up here. We have both the YouTube channel and the Facebook channel as well. This is her Facebook channel right there. You want to be connected with this show because it is one of the best shows that I have seen so far where the information, because I got to tell you, the information a lot of these people do talk about is trade, how to trade tokens, how to do this, how to buy, how to get, how to trade. The actual full picture of what is happening in the world and how it's going to evolve and change everything. That's what she's talking about on her show. So you want to be a part of that discussion because you know why? You're not going to learn this in college. There isn't some places going to tell you about the future. And let me just tell you, if you invest in the future, you'll become very wealthy. If you continue to invest in our past, you're going to be broke. And that's the defining line right here. You're either investing in your future or investing in your past. So you want to stay on the fringe because that's where everything is happening right now. You guys, I see you all on popping up right now. Let's see. Creativity is always molding the way. That's true. And we have these non-fungible tokens. This is a show all in and of itself. And have you covered this yet, or is it going to be a topic for your
No,
show?
it's going to be this Friday.
This Friday, we're going to be talking about this. You don't want to miss this episode. I know I'll be watching it. So again, totally agree. Thank you very much. Interesting time ahead. You got that right. This is the part of being an innovator right here. It's staying on the fringe. It's not being afraid of the fringe. It's cutting a path there. And so I want to say that I think a lot more women have way more opportunity. If you educate yourself in there, there's not a lot of us girls in this particular area right now. So I want to continue the conversation. I want to go with 3 things people should first learn about. Like if you are just starting out, you're listening, you're thinking, well, this is interesting. I'll make it 4 things because I think the first thing you should do is subscribe to her YouTube channel or be on her live shows, etc. I think you need to do that right now. One of the best things. But 3 other things that, let's say somebody who's a beginner who really who's afraid of investing because they are not quite sure what it is and they don't see how it applies. Where can they start? Where's the 3 starting things that they can do first?
I'm not really sure about the 3 starting things that they can do first, but if you were talking about the practicalities, well, maybe just try and invest in a couple of cryptos. Well, look at, I think one of the most significant for me criteria for investing, not for trading. I'm not a trader. I don't have the killer gene for trading.
Me too. I'm definitely an investor.
Yeah, but if you're interested in investing, maybe look at those blockchains or cryptocurrency. Crypto networks is probably the best way of calling this, because they're more than just blockchains. There are networks of people that they're the users are growing the community, or that are a part of this blockchain, and the users have got all their incentives aligned with the help of the token. So I would rather look at those kind of blockchains or crypto networks with strong network effects. And at the moment, there are 2 for me, and the opinions may differ, but this is what I'm seeing. It's, of course, as the first one, it's Bitcoin. It's adopted. People are starting using it. Countries are starting to use it as legal tender. And the second one is Ethereum, because there is Bitcoin has been designed a particular way, and it's in a way quite limited in what can be built on that. And that was for a reason, and it's shaping up as being as a store of value. Ethereum is shaping up as the financial rails of the new financial system. And no matter what the politicians and bankers, they don't like it or not. What we're seeing is it's a parallel financial system that's being built now on Ethereum. And if you're, for example, and maybe a startup founder, or maybe you're an entrepreneur thinking about it, if you're building on the old financial system, you're already behind. You need to be with these people, really. And it's mostly on Ethereum. There are, of course, other blockchains that now see adoption, and more projects are coming up. Another interesting one to watch, but it's still very speculative, is Polkadot. It's one of the largest blockchains as well. The blockchain of blockchains, as they call themselves sometimes. But those projects that have very large network effects, these are the ones that you probably want to consider, because they're less volatile, less risky. And so far, Yeah, we see all these fluctuations in Bitcoin, but Bitcoin has been dead many, many times, and it's still alive. What's the
right.
current price?
That's what they keep
35,000.
saying. It's going to
Yeah.
die, and it just keeps resuscitating
Yeah,
and growing. I want to throw one in. I like the Pirate Chain, ARRR, Pirate Chain, privacy coin. It's outstanding, and I like that one as well. And the Litecoin, I still hold out for that as well. I think that's a decent coin. And I'm telling you, I'm not giving you investment advice. I'm telling you what I
it's not
invested in.
investment advice.
That's right. So we're making that very clear. We're just looking at it from the standpoint of what we're doing. So I want to also say that if you invest, one of the best things, I know I have it. Oh, it's over there. One of the best things that you can do is pick up a couple of books on what Bitcoin or the crypto revolution is. There's a book called Crypto Revolution. Bryce, I can't remember his first name, but Paul Bryce or something like that. You can read that. That's an exceptional book to go there. But the first things first, educating yourself, then pulling the trigger on it. And I want to talk about that because the first time I invested, I know I had a couple of criteria. One is I invested money I didn't need. Like if I lost it, it wouldn't kill me. And then I made myself educated about what I'm investing in, why I'm investing in it. And then when I educated myself, I went on, I subscribed to people's YouTube channels where I can get this kind of fringe information. So back when I invested in the low hundies, that's when I purchased Bitcoin. So what happened was everybody told me that my $100, $200 was going to be evaporate and be gone and everything else. And even though I have seen it skyrocket and fall, skyrocket and fall, skyrocket and fall, I have never once seen it disappear from my investment thing. So I think it is going to have the time it needs to have mass adoption. The mass adoption is when people start realizing that even though, let me just put it this way. I want to share this scenario with you. Let's say you saved $1 million. You have $1 million saved for retirement. You want it to be retirement. In the United States, we are the reserve currency. So the dollar appears strong, but the dollar is backed by trillions of dollars in debt we're never going to be able to pay off. If we no longer are the reserve currency, that $1 million you have saved, each dollar will be worth 3.5 cents. Listen to me here. So how much would your $1 million be if the next day it was valued at 3.5 cents? All of that hard work, all of your dreams, all your savings just vanished into air. There are other alternatives and things that are being birthed right now that we're talking about that are helping our future wake up to the different possibilities of income. So to me, early adoption is the best way you can move forward. So we have things that are investing in. You said Bitcoin was one that you thought was strong. Ethereum is one that you thought was strong.
Yeah. And I can also suggest, if you're not sure about the projects, there are also a couple, I think at least a couple now, of DeFi indexes. So you can invest in an index, and DeFi stands for decentralized finance. So you can, it just, all these new projects that are built on Ethereum that are related to finance. And we have everything built up there, including lending, borrowing, derivatives, all of that, that you have in the normal, standard, traditional financial system. If it's not there yet, it will be, because it's been built.
That's right. And that's the point. Our entire financial future is being rebuilt right now. And the key thing is if you know that there is going to be this transition, this transformation, how early do you want to know about it? Do you want to know about it after it's too late or beforehand? That's what we're doing right now. That's the importance of your show, The Fringe, because it's telling everybody right now, jump on, do this. Here's what you need to know. Here's the way forward. Here's how we can go. I want to jump in and talk to the beginner again, who is afraid to pull the trigger. Great. Don't be afraid. Just take a comfortable amount of money. The beauty of a Bitcoin is it used to be back in the markets, in the traditional markets, before you could even invest, you had to have $10,000 or $100,000 until they came out with the IRA. And the IRA let the average investor invest a little bit of money in. And this is how cryptocurrencies is. If you have $5 to invest, $500, $5,000, $50,000, or $500,000, that's up to you. And so what happens is you can start out, feel the volatility, watch it go up and down, learn about it, become part of these communities, subscribe to the channels where you're going to get education and information, read a few books. I want to talk about the future of finance, because I think the future of finance has the ability to see where you become your own bank, where you're not just tied to a bank and there's fees. And I think people don't understand, and I'm hoping you'll enlighten them, the difference between centralized and decentralized currencies, and I mean cryptocurrencies. Because right now we have two of these things coming on, and people are like, why would we have banks in the future if we now can get a coin from a central bank? You know what I mean? Or what does it mean? This part, I think, is the most important piece of it.
I'm not quite sure, Vicky, that I quite understood the question. So if you can repeat it again.
Sure.
What's the difference?
The difference between the decentralized cryptos and centralized cryptos. So there are coins being made where you can be on the system or off the system, so to speak. And if you are looking at it from this point of view, central banks want to come up with they are coming up with their own coins, right? So you have to think, if you can buy directly from the central bank, what do we need banks for? Do you see what I'm saying? It's like, I think that central banks who are trying to eliminate almost this system. And to me, that the beauty of Bitcoin is that you are your own bank, and you don't want to hook yourself into that old system by buying from that's like decentralizing, then centralizing yourself again. Do you understand what I'm asking or saying?
Yeah, well, I think that
give me your perspective.
Why people are interested in distributed systems to start with, because there is no single point of failure. If you look at the banks and all the hacks that have been done, because with customer data, all the hacks that have been just robbing banks, when hackers can do that very easily, or employees can conspire and do that and rob the bank. I think that one of the biggest bank robberies was in a bank in Punjab, I believe, somewhere in India, and that was in the billions of dollars. So everything that's centralized have got lots of limitations. It's probably easier to coordinate in a certain way, yes, but it also has got all of these problems of third parties. They can be hacked. They can be and all.
Yeah, we're seeing that now.
Nasty things can happen. Yeah.
But and I think that is a huge piece right now, isn't it? Because that hack, what do they call it? Ransomware hacks. Yeah. That would be stopped by blockchain being installed or infused into those areas, because you could just follow it back.
Yeah. So I don't know that there is even a movement, and it's not a project. It's more like a service company that I'm subscribing to this to their letter. They're called Bankless. The guys
Bankless,
are very good. They talk about all different aspects. I'm pretty much into Ethereum. They talk a lot about Ethereum and what's being built and how you can be bankless. You can be. You don't have to have a bank. They're doing it. They're living proof of that this can be done.
We can transfer to each other without a middleman,
without needing a third party. You can live with this. There are some merchants that already accepting cryptocurrencies and not just Bitcoin, and you can really live without traditional money.
Yes, and that's the thing. There's traditional money and new money. And this to me is one of the most important things about cryptocurrency. This is something that I think is the most important, and that is it is the people's money. We are forced to receive or take fiat currencies. We're forced to. We have to pay taxes in that currency. We can't pay it in gold and silver, etc. So the people's choice and the people's money, this decentralization that is happening, is that it is adoption that creates the value and the scarcity. There's scarcity and adoption that create value also, not just infused into how it's used, but the scarcity and adoption that is there for people to have a investment that is their investment. That's the people's investment. It's the first investment that has been created outside of gold and silver for thousands of years that unites us as humanity, and not politics, not religions, not countries, but as humanity, where we can do peer-to-peer transacting with nobody involved. So she's in Dubai right now. I'm in the United States. If I chose to buy something from her, I could do it without any interruption, without any, here it is, send me this beautiful picture or cup or whatever it is that I purchased from her, boom, right over. And it is there without having any middleman. And yet, the key thing is, if you have a middleman job, if you're a title worker or you're an attorney or you're somebody who makes contracts for people, your industry is going to be disrupted big time. So there's a point where there's a learning curve to this new thing. It's just like when the internet first got here. Yes, it's like there's a learning curve that you have to embrace.
Yeah, and absolutely. And on the point of the early internet, if you are kind of the same vintage as me, you probably would remember what people used to say about the internet, early internet. Yeah. It's for scammers. It will never work. It's a bubble. Even in 2000, no, believe it or not, just after the bubble, the crash, the .com crash, they were saying, there were headlines in all newspapers, the internet is done. It's going away. Nobody needs it. Here we are.
Yes, we're at that place. I'm of the vintage where I remember going to college and, I got my degree in accounting and my minors in finance. And at the time, in order to pass our finals, we had to do it on the computer and by hand. And I remember at the time being so angry because nobody before me had to do 2 finals in order to graduate and get their degree, but I did. I had to do it both by hand and by computers. And I remember some people saying when I was starting my career, I'll never get one of those stupid computers. I'm never going to do that. This is where we are in the adoption phase right now. It'll never work. It's not going to be great. This is going to go away. You're going to lose all your money. It's fake. It's not real. How is this an asset? Blah, blah, blah. Your perspective will change slowly as adoption increases. But this new fintech, which is financial tech, it's infusing everywhere right now. There's blockchain being used by banks now. Inventory is being worked with at Walmart around the world by blockchain. This is already here. Don't let the politicians lie to you. There is so much of it being infused in our financial system right now that it looks like the past, but it's not. and it is absolutely new. Let me ask you something before we go. I want to ask you if you had something you could share with the audience, you thought, man, they need to know this one thing that I want to make sure they know. What would that be? What would be the one thing that you would want them to know about the future that maybe they're not thinking about right now?
Well, if we think about the future, blockchain, it's some people are saying, some researchers and some people in the media are saying it's a disruptive technology. It's not a disruptive technology. It's a foundational technology. It's a foundational technology that's underlying the next wave of innovation. Innovation happens in big, huge, long waves, and we're now facing the sixth wave of innovation. It's not clear yet which particular technologies are going to be part of it, but it's probably, as I said earlier, it's going to be blockchain and artificial intelligence and virtual reality and Internet of Things, plus, of course, life sciences, and that will be part of it too. Anti-aging, for example. But the thing about foundational technologies is that they are inevitable. You can't fight them. It's just as simple as that.
Yeah.
And no matter how much you don't like it, or some, stakeholders out there don't like it, it will happen. So you'd better be on the right part of history. This is probably my message to everyone. And if you're hesitating, that's fine. Just maybe try with something which is with an amount of money that you're prepared to lose. Don't go head on because you heard about it on this channel. But try it, see how it goes. Try to learn. Education is absolutely important. I guess. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. It is.
Absolutely.
Yes, it is.
And
It's
then
the
now there are
inevitable boom.
lots of free resources from good people, from reputable people that deliver lots of really good content on the internet about technology. Industry papers are widely available. Banks are also writing a lot on crypto. Some of the earliest things in crypto were written by the likes of the Royal Bank of Canada.
Yes,
they were
right.
interested in that very, very early on, and they were trying to understand how it works. So you'd better be on the right part of or side of history, rather.
This is very important what you just said. Do me a favor. When do you go live? When is your show at its time? You guys will have to figure out this in your time zone, but what day time is the Fringe come on?
The Fringe is at 2 p.m. Dubai time, which is +4 GMT. So it's if it's 2 p.m. Dubai time, it's typically 10 o'clock somewhere in Great Britain, and it would be also around 8 o'clock in Brisbane in Australia, and 5:30 in Adelaide p.m. Yeah, p.m. That's right.
Yeah.
In
Colorado, it's 4
it's
in the morning.
6 hours difference with Brisbane. Sorry, it's 8 p.m. Mm-hmm.
But if it's too early, because like the show comes on at 4:30 from me, but I always #replay. I will tell you this. The most important thing you can do right now is go down to this YouTube channel. It's right there. If you're driving, don't worry. It's in the show notes. It'll be there. You can just click it. It'll take you right there. So hit the subscribe button. Hit the bell notification. The Facebook place we go live on. This is the thing about the future right now, is that you can get cutting edge information. I mean, cutting edge information from people like Dr. Zalan, who are absolutely looking at the future, who research it, who know all about it, and bring it to you moment to moment to moment. I watch every single show, super big fan. I am absolutely so excited that you chose to stay up late and be here with me and talk to us about something that I am wicked passionate about. So passionate. And for
Thank you,
everybody
Vicky.
on the
Thank you
show.
for inviting me. It's not wicked late. It's still okay. It's a reasonable hour.
Oh, good. Oh, good. It's a reasonable hour. That's really good. So listen to me. If you're watching right now, do me a favor and share this show out. I want it to go out to as many people as possible, because I think this is helping the future. I know a lot of people have a tendency to be afraid of the future, but as you can see from this show, we definitely looked at the opportunities in the future. The future is something to be excited about if you're on the right side of history. Thank you for being on the Coffee Break Show today, Dr. Zalan. I really appreciate it.
Thank you,
so
Vicky.
much.
And I'm not too sure why you keep calling me Dr. Zalan. I'm Tantiana. I'm not into
Okay, so we're going to Tantiana.
Yes. Tantiana,
like,
sure.
I'm trying to be polite here and,
No,
protocol. Tantiana.
no.
I want to let you know when we're off the phone, I call her Tantiana. So, okay, there it is. Tantiana, thank you for being on the Coffee Break Show. Listen, if you go ahead and do this subscription right now, just click the link, go over there and subscribe to the channel, be there on that show. You will not regret it. Here's what I want you to know at the last part of the day. Nobody gets out of here without seeing the music and listening to the music. Mwah. We'll see you next Wednesday on the Coffee Break Show. Thank you for being here.
All the best.
Bye-bye.